Welcome to C's Backstage, your all-access pass to everything you need to know to design, produce, and inspire your next event. I'm your host, Troy Peters, Chief Experience Officer at C's Productions, here to guide you through the world of live event production. C's Backstage is released on the first and third Thursday of every month, so set those reminders so you also can hashtag C's Your Moment. On today's podcast, we have Angelica Robison. Angelica has over 20 years experience in the event industry. Her creative talents range from graphic and web design, creative social influencer, writer, and editor. She has an extensive background in the association and corporate events world and is currently an independent planner and a life coach, which is perfect because on today's episode, we're talking work-life balance. And you understand the events industry, but I've been following you on Instagram and things, and the things that you've been putting out about work-life balance and just being able to recognize how to we talk about it, but really how to engage in that work-life balance. So really grateful to have you on the program, especially leading into the holidays as everybody's trying to find that work-life balance. So tell us a little bit, just give us a little bit of background of how you started out in the events world, and then we'll get more into the balance of it all.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I want to make sure to just, share my appreciation. This is a great experience, and I love the opportunity, so appreciate that. And as far as, me, where I started from, I would have to say that it goes way back to when I was just graduating high school, and we we're getting ready to graduate, and I was talking to all my senior friends and thinking, hey, a lot of these people are actually people I went to elementary school with. Wouldn't it be great if we all just got together at our old elementary school? And so, I put some feelers out there and tested it out and made a few calls, and then, we decided to host it at our old elementary school, and I got the teachers involved. We had posters up. We had actually two top of their class attend, so from rival schools, which was pretty amazing because, I think if you graduate, in fifth grade, you don't think you're going to be you hope you're going to be at the top of your class when you graduate high school, right? But you always end up that way. And to have two people from two different schools that were pretty big in Tucson, that's where I grew up. For all of you that don't know, Tucson, Arizona is great. And, it was just amazing. And I had so much fun doing the invitations, putting it all together. We had videos, we had photos, we had little memoirs for them to take. And I think that's really where it started for me. I didn't really know it, though, until way later in life. I was exploring, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Right. And I was kind of just thrusted into the position, honestly.
Yeah, it's like so many of us are just not, we just kind of fell into it, right? Like I went to film school, worked in the motion picture industry for many years, and then somehow ended up in the events world, which is similar but different. But yeah, it's just fascinating how so many people come from so many different walks of life. We're doing something different and got into it. There's only a few colleges or universities that offer some sort of hospitality or event planning training. Right. So it is hard, and I'm hoping that it'll become more and more. Any colleges and universities out there listening, let's get some more of the hospitality programs happening and event planning programs.
Exactly. I think that's so important. One of the first jobs that I had as an event planner was in an admin type role. Right. And I remember they offered me the position as the event planner, but I saw her stressed out. Like she was not having a good time, which is why she was leaving. I thought, well, I don't know if I want that role. And so I actually left that particular department and went to another department. Well, that also had a layer of events. And the lady that saw me was like, you're going to be my event assistant.
Right.
So I was like, okay. But she saw that I had a good quality of work and I could do that. So she took me on. I started doing event planning after that, and I never looked back. We had events that had 6,000 plus people in it, a lot of different breakout rooms. So we booked 3 different hotels, and we booked them solid. And so they wanted us back. Right. And so we had to pick some pretty big cities. My first one was in New Orleans, which was amazing during Mardi Gras. Let me just tell you.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. Especially during Mardi Gras. Everything's booked out for private parties. Yeah. Keep them focused on your event, the reason that they're there.
Come
when they
here.
want to go to Bourbon Street and they want to go out.
Exactly. So, it was quite an experience, and just being in that environment where people just really wanted to connect. They wanted to show their work. They wanted other people to be involved, and they were looking to network with other graduate students.
Right.
And professors. That's basically what it was. They were all intellectuals, and just wanting to meet with other people who are like-minded. And a lot of times that's what events are about, meeting with like-minded people.
Yeah.
Right? For a cause, for something. And so it's what makes it fun.
Yeah, it's the conduit, right? That's what we're doing as event planners, as AV companies, production companies. We are helping to communicate with each other, right? You think about some of the events that we've done where we've had world leaders in a room, and we're there so that they can solve some problems and get through. And so we as the planners need to just make sure that they can get into that room and have that conversation, thinking about things like the G20 Summit or G8 or something like that. You need those people to be talking to each other. So putting it all together perfectly and keeping them focused off of Bourbon Street and going, and comfortable. And that's a perfect segue into the work-life balance. And you were talking about the event planner, even though you were on the admin side. The event planner that you saw was so stressed out. And I think I've read articles in Convene magazine or something about event planning is like one of the highest stress jobs in the world. It's like that and FBI agent or like a bomb diffuser or something like that are like the top three. And it is so true. There's so much that you can't even imagine what goes on if you're a true event planner, and people don't really know what it is we do, right? Like what this event world is. So talk now a little bit more about how you, as you were doing these, 6,000 person conference in New Orleans, you're traveling, you're sort of newer into the business, and how did you go from that and work-life balance there to where you are now, and you are actually coaching people on work-life balance and helping them see the light?
So what I found was, during the pandemic, a lot of people transitioned, right? They did a pivot per se, right? Pivot.
We try not to say that word.
I know.
We try not to say pandemic anymore, too.
It's a bad word. Yeah. But the fact is it happened, right? And so, and they were pivotal moments. And so for me, what happened was I really love connection. I really love interacting with people. And when I couldn't do it in the same way, I felt a disconnect. And I really did. I don't think I'm the only one that really got into this depressed state of, well, now I can't do what I was always doing that I love so much. I literally left my last job to just do that.
Right.
And now it's completely different.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about video. So I knew that if I wanted to go that route, I really had to study for that. And honestly, it just didn't attract me as much, right? I wanted that connection.
Right. Video, you mean like the online platforms?
Yeah, the online platforms, the Zoom videos, the, Skype, FaceTiming even. I wasn't comfortable on camera. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to do the lights and all the greatness, and it does take
And that's
work.
why you hire C's Productions to help you with the lighting, the video, and all your production
needs.
It's
so important. And that's what I knew as a planner, that matters.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to give like a, 10% to that.
Right.
It was really important, and I knew that. And so I wasn't going to give my client that kind of, caliber, I guess you could say. I could probably join a team and learn, and I love to learn new things, and so I thought about it. But what I found was I started connecting with other people, and I started talking to them about their life and about how they were working and what they were doing, and
this is during the pandemic. This is like 2020, a couple months in.
So that's how I got into the life coach thing. That's how I switched it up.
I didn't realize it was that recent.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's why I switched it up, because I realized I've always coached. I've always trained.
Yep.
It's just I've been doing it interactively as an event planner. Right?
Yeah.
Well, whether it was talking to a vendor, talking to a client, talking to, the people that, are involved with it. Sometimes you do have to coach them up. You have to talk to them about how to do something or work them through something.
Absolutely.
And so I didn't realize that was what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was actually being a life coach while I was doing the event planning.
For free. You kind of giving away
free.
that part.
Yeah. Because, it's kind of like the wedding planner, right? If you've seen the wedding planner with J-Lo, and she's talking, she's trying to like work with the bride and coach her and be like, okay, but this is how you do it, and she's working with her on that. And that was kind of me behind the scenes, is I was working with my clients. I was working with the vendors. I was helping them through things that were going on in their life and letting them know, like, okay, if this event doesn't go the way that you plan, like, let's figure out a way to make it better. Let's do the, the pre and the post event kind of thing. And let's make sure that we, end up on a good page at the end of it.
That's a good point. The post event is just as important as the pre, right?
Yeah.
Learn
the
from what went well, what didn't, so you can grow from that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes people forget about that. As planners, event planners, I think it's very important to have that meeting after the meeting.
Right.
And even when you're in the meeting, to have a meeting after the meeting.
Right.
How do you think that went? How could it have gone better? What should we have discussed? What was left on the table? What can we bring up for next time?
Yeah.
Right. And how do we want to do it next time? Do we want to have lights next time? Do we want to dim the lights next time? Like, there's so many different avenues that need to be explored and can't be if you don't have that conversation after the fact.
Yes.
And so that's how I started to do the life coaching. Well, what happened in your life? How do we go from here? Like, what do we,
So you just took your event management skills and
I did.
Your life is an event. Excuse me, sir. I'm going to help you figure it out.
Exactly. Everybody's life is an event.
Yep.
It's meant to be lived. It's meant to be loved. It's meant to be explored. And so my goal is really to continue to empower and show people how to live their life in a way that's exciting, just like an event.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So talk a little bit about, so if I'm somebody who's overworked and I'm just, stressed out and I can't, I'm starting to like really falter in
can't find time
my
for
personal relationships. Yeah. Can't find time for the rest. Personal relationships with friends and partners and things. And then you're also not quite giving it all at work because you're just so disconnected. So what are some first steps people use to sort of find that balance?
So what I tell people that are going through that thing, typically it's you are overworked, you are working a lot of different projects, or your time is stretched thin between family and work, that you don't really focus any time on you. And so you begin to lose that creativity that you have. So what I tell people to do and what I suggest and invite them to do is that, they start to carve out just 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes to listen to a song that you like, to say a prayer, to go for a walk, to go eat lunch, breakfast, something for 5 minutes before you pick up the call and answer that email, before you call. And I say that because people have a hard time when they're that busy to say, I'm going to take 30 minutes for myself.
Right.
30 minutes. Or I'm going to take 10 minutes. So break it up.
Bring
bring
scope
it down.
A little narrower.
Narrow. And then once that 5 minute feels comfortable, you can stretch that out to 10. You can stretch it out to 15. You can stretch it out to 30. Right? And I like to break it down to like a couple of days, do it at 5 minutes. See how that feels.
Yep.
See how that feels. And then afterwards, in a couple of, days, try it at 10 minutes and see how that feels.
Right.
And if it continues to feel good and you can start to see improvements, increase it. Get to 30.
Right.
Get to an hour.
So you're sort of saying that you don't have to don't shoot for the moon right out of the box. Just find those baby steps and
take a
give
lunch.
a little bit, take a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
take a little bit more. And I love the first thing you said was recognize that you are overworked, and that's okay to be, and just to tell yourself that, we're constantly making excuses of like, I'm too busy. I've been teasing the idea of creating a swear jar. That's anybody that says the word busy has to put $1 in, and we'll use it for a party at the end of the year. But we're almost justifying our busyness, right? By saying that. And so really owning it and saying, you know what, Troy, you are too busy. So how do we fix that?
Right. Well, that's one of the first things I teach is awareness. You've got to be aware
Perfect. Yeah.
of what's going on in your life and how it's affecting your life, and be aware of the people around you and how they're affecting your life, and be aware of your environment. Is it messy? Is it clean? Do you like it like that?
Yep.
How is it working for you? Would you like it better if you were facing a window as opposed to having the window to your back? Little things about how you even get into the car. Like, do you like what you see when you're out, when you're in your car? Like, do you want things on your dashboard? Do you want, something hanging from your mirror? Just a lot of different things about your environment that really do play a part. So even the smell, sometimes you're in a meeting, and what if we had like a votive vanilla candle, or right this time of year, maybe like an apple crisp, a cinnamon, pine cone,
Right.
like It
it evokes a mood,
Exactly.
makes you feel a certain way. There's a hotel chain, don't want to list any brand names. There's a hotel chain where every time I walk in the lobby, and it may or may not be part of the reason that I'm devoted to that hotel chain, but every time you walk in the lobby, no matter where it is, unless it's maybe on a beach or something when it smells like the beach, it has a smell. And it's like every time I walk in there, I'm like, okay, I feel good. I feel home, right?
Yes.
And spend so much time on the road. So having those, that's such a great observation.
Well, and here's the other, I tell working parents, because a lot of times they're like, I feel like I don't have my kid around. Okay, well, do you have a picture of them? Do you have something that they can hold on to when they're not with you? Do you have something that's scented? I recorded my voice for my kids to put them to bed when I wasn't able to be there because I had a late night event.
It's a great idea.
So, I mean, there are things that you could do that'll feel like you're now empowered, right? It's not like I'm not there. I'm still saying my prayers with you. It's recorded, and I'm with you in spirit,
Yep.
right? I have to be at work because I get to be able to provide for the family,
Yeah.
right? I've made this decision for our lives, and I'll be back as soon as I can. In the meantime, I've left you this because
Right.
I love you, you know?
I love that.
And so it's important to bring those moments in to realize, take the time to do what you can do when you're not there. Because as an event planners, and I'm sure, you know, the same is true for you, when you're producing and doing all these different things, you've got to set everything up, just like in catering when I was doing that. There's a huge part of it is setup.
Yep.
So you can't just leave in the middle of it. You've got to make sure it's set up before the event happens.
So
and
many
then you got to
questions.
be there.
Everybody's coming at you with questions.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you don't have time to be like, okay, honey, I'm very excited about your class project, but mommy's got to go.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
I can't listen to you for 30 minutes talk about this. So I tell them, leave me a voicemail, leave me, you know, or a voice memo, like they have, you know, you can do that now. And I'll respond to you as soon as I can. I know that it's not the same, but I want to feel that expression
Yeah.
of excitement or anger or whatever it is you're feeling in the moment. And I will respond to you as soon as possible
Yeah.
with 100% attention, right? And it won't be at the same time, but know that I want to hear it. Because
you're-
that's important to communicate, right?
Right. And you're at work and you're able to do that.
Yeah.
And thanks to technology, right? I mean, I
Right.
really make an effort to FaceTime my kids when I'm traveling.
They want to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just that connection, even if it's just for a minute, allows me to be a little bit more calm, like a little bit more like, all right, everything's going good, right? Like you're not there, but you're there, sort of
Yes.
thing. So,
Yeah.
so I love that the environment was kind of the first thing you talked about, just like first of all owning it, and then recognizing it, and then the environment, and then we talked a little bit before the podcast about time management. How do you do that? For me, I know like even staff here at C's Productions or my wife, everybody knows, my kids even, if it's on Dad's calendar, it's happening. But if it's not, good luck.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
yeah. So talk a
Yeah.
little bit about time management in that world as well, and how you can maybe
Yeah.
any points and tips you have about that.
So one thing I do for my family is we have a family text where this is what's happening, this is what's going on. If you really want me to know about it, it needs to be in that text.
Right.
And how to put it out so I can save it in my calendar
Yeah.
and hit that save, right? But so the other thing though is I have a tendency, and I don't think I'm the only one, to do this thing where, you know, you're working on something and then you start working on something else and then you start going somewhere else, and then before you know it, you're not really completed one project and your time is like scattered, right? Those time management.
I call that too many windows open, right? Like on your
Exactly.
desktop where you've got
Too
just
many
so
windows
many windows
open.
open, or in your brain, so many windows open.
Exactly. So many windows. You do say that. So what I've noticed is if you give yourselves a time limit to say, I'm going to be working on this project from this time to this time, like on your calendar, right?
Yep.
The same is true for your project. So within your work hour, don't just say, I'm busy from 8 to 5 or 12 to 6 or whatever time that you're working, but literally give yourself time for that project. If you know that this project is going to take an average of an hour and you've only scheduled, 15 minutes, it's not going to work.
You're already behind.
You're already behind.
Yeah.
Or you've scheduled 2 hours. What are you doing the rest of the time?
Right. Yeah.
So like really think about how long did it take you to do the last project? If it's something you don't know how long it's going to take, give yourself extra time.
Yeah.
Because, maybe it is going to take you longer than you think.
Yeah.
But you won't know until you start. And so what I also do is I'll put a timer on my phone. I'll literally get one of those little sand things that you turn over.
Right, right.
Or I'll put some music on where I know, like when I hear this song, it's been this
Certain amount
long.
of time has passed. Yeah.
5 minutes for, a song, give or take, And so I kind of figured, oh, it's been a couple songs now, whatever.
Got it.
So I think it's important to recognize the amount of time it takes you to do the things that you want to do, and the amount of time you want to spend doing things with your family and your work, work-life balance, especially during the holidays. It's so important to recognize that you're going to have more events to go to. Your kids are going to have more events to go to. And if you want to be a part of it, you have to build that into your calendar. You have to find a way to put that in. Well, you don't have to, right? But you get to figure that out.
Yes.
And if you feel like you don't have that much time to say yes to all the events and different things, pick the one or two and say, I'm definitely going to be at this one and nothing is going to interrupt it. Not my work schedule, not anything else in my personal life. I said I would be here for my kid or my best friend or my husband or my wife or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so, or my spiritual, maybe I decided to go on a spiritual retreat. Nothing is going to interrupt that. I don't care how busy I am. My boss is going to know that I've set a line there.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's great. You got to set boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that you just said spiritual retreat. This really kind of puts us into our last thing I wanted to ask. You were talking a little bit about chakras and meditation. So, that's something that I've been trying to do the last couple of years. Essentially started after losing my mom. I was like, okay, something's missing in my life. She was my spiritual connection. And so I was like, what else could I do? And I just stumbled across somebody that was giving meditation lessons, in the mountains in Arizona. It was super random and super meant to be. Purposeful. Perfect.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about what that can do for you and how to make time for that, and whatever you want to share there.
So what I really believe it does is, like you said, it opens your mind, it opens your heart, it gives you a sense of peace. Because during that time, your time is in the now, right? We were talking about that too, I think before the show, is we only get the now, right? From 1 second to the next, that last second was gone, right? So all we have is now. And so if in the now moment you are in a sense of peace and love and serenity, then you carry that on to the next moment. And if you're in a state of sorrow or anger, then you breathe through it. You're in that moment, you're aware of that moment, and you're aware that this isn't where I want to stay. Most people don't want to stay there, right? So how do I bring myself out? You let it be what it is. You take a few breaths, you think about some things that are positive, some things that bring you love, some things that bring you joy, and you find your way back to doing those things, whether it's being with someone you love, whether it's listening to some music, maybe it's watching something on TV that's soothing, that's relaxing. Maybe you like mystery murderous movies, but that may not be the best time to watch it, because you are trying to change your mind, right? And so when you're doing the meditations and you're focusing on who you are, you're centering yourself, you're really thinking about, okay, how do I feel from my toes to my head? What is going on right now with Troy? What is going on right now with Angelica? How do I feel? What is going on with me? How do I feel about my relationships, about my work, about my space? Mm-hmm. Or how about I just really am being present in my environment? I'm loving the way the tree is swinging. I'm loving the way the sun is hitting my face. I'm loving the way that this place where I'm sitting is comfortable. Maybe I have my feet playing with the sand in the beach. Right. Maybe I'm in front of a fire, smelling, the freshness of the pines. I don't know, but maybe I'm just being present in this moment and soaking this moment in.
I love that.
And so I think it's important for us to recognize that faith isn't about a religion, right? Or going to Sundays or Wednesday or whatever you go to church or mass or meet your community.
Sure.
It's 100% about connecting with Source, with God, with yourself, and with others. And really bringing that to a whole as that's your faith. That's where you breathe in. That's where your spirit comes from. That's where you light up.
That's your spirituality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your connection.
That's where you light up. And so if you make time during the day, first thing when you get up in the morning, to just say, thank you. Thank you for today. Thank you. Like your gratitude. Your gratitude. And I think I was sharing with you my affirmations. Like that's a huge part. And each chakra has a different set of affirmations. Definitely look those up. Or, message me later and I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But
totally. Well, gratitude.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Tell people how they can get a hold of you, they can follow you. What are all your things?
So all my things. Well, primarily I'm on Instagram. So my handle is Angelica, Angelica, Angelica. Dot JERE 2911 for Jeremiah 2911, right?
Oh, okay.
Which basically is the Lord has plans for you and believe it. So,
very cool.
Yeah. So, and you'll find me on there talking. I do Working Women Whistle on Wednesdays sometimes, where I just invite women and other men too, children maybe, but mainly it's adult conversations, talking about life-work balance, talking about how to invite more love into your space, talking about the entrepreneurial world, and sometimes I have guests, so maybe you can come on there too.
That'd be great. Yeah.
I'd love to have you on, but it's just basically to empower and share with people how to love their life, how to enjoy more of what they're doing, and recognizing that I think especially when women go into the workforce and people, I call it Working Women Whistle because people are like, hey, hey women, come over here, kind of thing. And so
you're owning it.
Yeah. And so I think it's important for us to recognize and just to have a space of, let's just talk about it. Let's just talk about what it's like to be a mom, to be a wife, to interact as with your sister, with your brother, with your spouse, with your boss, and
while still maintaining your job
coworkers,
and your career, and things
and
like that.
doing all the things. And so I think those things are very important. And so, yeah, I invite you to reach me on there, send me a DM. I don't really get on Facebook too much for that kind of stuff. I keep that pretty personal. So if I know you, you're probably on there. If not, you're probably not.
Instagram's good for that, though.
Yes. So I do have like I guess you could say a Facebook business, which is just my name on there. That goes on the same way. So yeah, Angelica.JERE 2911.
Well, thank you so much. We talked about making time and then eventually making enough time so that we can be reflective and take some time to meditate and just be better people, better souls, be present. Well, again, thank you, Angelica Robison, for coming on our podcast. This has been C's Backstage, your all-access pass to everything you need to know to design, produce, and inspire your next event. C's Backstage is released on the first and third Thursday of every month, so set those timers and be in the know. #Seize your moment. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.